Hey, so in this video I'm going to show you our current problems or challenges. And in the past you could see us struggling a lot with all these thorns, silvas, spiky bushes, however you want to call this plant. It's been quite aggressive, scratches everywhere, and it's just growing all around us. But this problem now actually turns out to be kind of nice. Let me show you.
Okay, so they're still super annoying and way too spiky, but now in summertime you actually have a lot of blackberries growing here. The lesson here might just be that every downside or every challenge also brings an upside somewhere.
So we bought this big piece of land and are prototyping a more sustainable way of living. Not sure how it's gonna go, but let's see. And we document this whole process, and every 8th video we show you guys our current problems or challenges. And this is video update 28, so today I'm gonna show you our challenges. And we're also gonna have some Q&A. Alright, so let's start off with the previous challenges. One big one was the highway sounds. They're still there. Still not sure what to do. We're still observing, so not really an update yet. Second one is a weather station. We wanted to make this station that measures the climate around here. So the temperature, the amount of sun, the humidity, the amount of rain that falls. Just to understand a little bit better where we are at and perhaps in different areas in the land. So there's a special Discord where people working on this. And Jerry actually sent us a box containing some of these sensors connected to a Raspberry Pi. So that one is now analyzing the data as a first prototype, and hopefully it evolves. So that one is moving forward. Next challenge is yearly time lapses. We really wanted to make some time lapses that don't last for 20 minutes, but really like a whole year. Because we're gonna have a lot of long-term development here, so it would be cool if you can actually see the trees growing and the ruins being renovated. That still needs to be developed. Didn't make much progress there. If you want to help out, make sure to visit support.projectkamp.com, where you can see how you can help out with that one. And the next big step was also that we wanted to get water. And in the previous video I've shown you that we wanted to ask the neighbors if we could use the well. So I'm now sitting on the top of the lid from the well. So this is just the lid, here's a hook so you can lift it up. Good news, we could actually use the well. We opened it up, looks super impressive. We went inside, super chilly. All good. So now we're getting into getting all the parts, components, and actually installing it, which should be soon. Besides this, we have a few additional updates. One is that we have Project Kamp badges. If you support on Patreon, you can get one of these to support the project, which would be really great. And another small update, which is not really a problem, not a problem at all actually, is that we posted a video on when we cleaned this kitchen. And that video got a lot of views, over 100,000, which is more than any of all the other videos we made. So that has been really great, and it actually boosted the whole channel. So more and more people discovering Project Kamp because the YouTube algorithm likes that. Another update is we now actually have internet for a while already on the base camp. We figured it out by using different phone carriers and different kind of devices. And then depending where you are on the land, on the high point or the low points, you have internet. So we found for Basecamp what is a good setup is to have Vodafone 4G with a dongle. So you pay €1 per day actually to have unlimited internet, so €30 a month. It's kind of good. It's been really nice, but one downside of that is that we put the dongle inside of the container. However, the container is a metal box, and the moment you close it, the internet is basically gone. So we need to have a 4G router which we can put on top of the container. So I'm now actually looking into this topic. I saw this router seems nice, also because you can connect multiple devices and it has an outdoor casing. But I'm not sure. I don't know too much about these things, no experience with it. So if you guys have any tips or suggestions on this or want to figure out the best outdoor router, let me know, would be very useful. Alright, so let's get on with our current challenges, and I would say we have a lot of small ones, but 3 kind of big ones that are currently on our mind. First one is video making. So here we have a question from Stefan G that sort of introduces it a bit. Could you please talk a little bit about how the filming fits into your day? Your videos are looking very good if you consider that you don't have a cameraman. So yeah, I would say the video making is kind of a challenge actually. On the one hand, just to really produce a video each week, but I think also more really producing it from the beginning till the end. So you really start to think of something you want to do, then you're going to sketch it out, then you're going to either make it or clean it, then you film it all, then you edit it. So at the end, when you're making the edit of the video, you're completely done with it because you've been into the process for so long in all these little steps. So I think it's going to be hard to keep this up in the long term, especially with more projects coming up, more people coming. So I think, yeah, we really need to find a way to make sure we can keep this up, because I do like it a lot, having weekly updates to share with you guys. So yeah, if you're a video maker and want to help, let us know. But it is also challenging actually, because there are a lot of things going on, so you kind of need to really be here for a long period of time, because we also don't want a different kind of video style every week. It somewhat needs to be consistent. So I'm not sure how we're going to do that, but it's a bit of a challenge, as my energy level for videos making is slowly going down. Challenge 2, based on a question from Jacquelas. How is your workshop turning out, and is there lots of bugs where you live, and is it a problem for you? Okay, this sounds silly, but it's actually quite a thing, having all these flies. Especially when you're doing focused work, you have a fly like in your eye or in your leg. It's like, ah! And especially when it gets hot, it's already hard to focus with the heat, but then also with the flies around. And it also looks like they like the same places as humans. So if you take shady place like a container to do some focusing work, they also are here. So yeah, it's challenging. I think in general I still have to get used a bit to the heat. Rita is better with it, but I'm now trying to get up earlier when it's still cool, and in the middle of the day take a siesta or work in the water, and then continue my focus work more in the afternoon when it cools down a bit again. Challenge number 3. It's actually kind of an exciting one, but it's a big one. It's about planning ahead and seeing how we're gonna do it. Because up until now the focus has been very much setting up base camp, so making sure we have some basic infrastructure here, water, electricity, toilet. We're getting there to the stage that we set it up. So now we're thinking about, okay, what to do next, because we identified the land, we've seen what to do, we cleaned up some ruins that we know need work. So on the one hand, we just have a lot of work to do, like actual workforce, but also quite some organization, and if you have more people, how do you manage that? And also really just the resources, like how do we gonna pull it off, because up until now we've only been really working on this small patch. But we have like 10 hectares out there which we need to take care of, so everything quickly scales up also in the amount of resources. And we didn't really think it through too much. I'm pretty sure we'll find a way, but it's a challenge. And yeah, if you want to help out, make sure to visit support.projectkamp.com to see how you can do it, either financially or with your workforce. And you got a badge. Alright, so now we're going to the Q&A part where we're going to answer some questions. Originally I wanted to do this with Rita because she's been here with me basically the whole time, so she also knows the project inside out. However, she is currently in the south of Portugal, so she's not here. And you might have seen in the videos that occasionally people help out as well. So our moms were here, Mattia from Italy, and Leo from Porto. Are you and the Italian girl a couple? No, me and Mattia are not a couple. So yeah, we had some people coming by every now and then. But now we actually also have one person here that is actually going to help for a longer period of time. He's named Ian. So here we have Ian, and he's building a compost toilet.
Hey, let me in.
So yeah, he's the first person helping out for a longer period of time. Kind of exciting to see how it's gonna go. But it's getting a bit noisy here, so I'll find a place to do the Q&A. I actually kind of like doing this. Feels useful to answer your questions and kind of easy for me. So the first question from Joke, are you going to answer them? Yes, that's the plan. Alright, so second question. We saw you planting trees and shrubs in the early video. How are they doing? They're doing quite well actually. Especially over there you can see our lemongrass and verbena, who's been really growing massively. I always drink teas from this. Actually, everything here grows super fast in Portugal, because, at least in this part, because you have a lot of sun and a lot of water and rain. So yeah, good ingredients. How is your garden going? Is it still going strong after the hailstorm? For that, we have to look at this avocado. And it had quite some worn out leaves from the hailstorm. It's coming back now, but they actually did take quite a hit. So I would say our trees are not growing that fast. I think it's a combination of we planting them too late and the big hailstorm, which really just shredded all of them. Peach tree over there is doing very well actually, but all the other ones here you can see a bit around me are just some sticks. Maybe next year they'll come, or maybe we replant a few of those. But let's actually go to a more quiet place where also some shade. Will farming be the largest, strongest component of your envisaged sustainable lifestyle? To be honest, I'm not sure yet. The land is definitely good for farming. A lot of people around us would recommend it. However, we see sustainability also as something that is not isolated. It sort of depends on your land, but also your region. So if a lot of people around us already growing vegetables in the right way, it makes less sense for us to also do that and actually compete with them. So for instance, in the last video you saw Sarah and Nunu growing their own vegetables. So in a way it's perfect for us if we can work with them to get their vegetables. Because also then they become really expert in that area and they can really dive deep into it. And if it's us, then we have to do like 20 different things. So instead of growing vegetables, maybe it's better if we spend our time on something else. But not sure yet. Why aren't you growing your own vegetables and fruits? So no vegetables for the previous reason I just mentioned, but fruits I could actually see being integrated easier, because they're just less hassle to maintain. Once you plant them, they grow, especially in this climate around here. So yeah, fruits is probably a realistic part of our land. How did you imagine life and work on your land would look like from the beginning? As you went through the workshop container, there were a lot of all kind of machines to work with, metals, screws. You will put those things to use in the future, I'm sure, but what about forest and land management tools? Wood chipper, brush cutter, chainsaws? Yeah, good question. That is definitely lacking, those tools. But the tools we got in our workspace basically came because we already had a workspace back into the Netherlands. So it's a bit of a mixture of it's a workspace, but also just moving our own stuff. So yeah, we decided to not buy any of this in the Netherlands, but just see here what we actually need and then just slowly expand our workspace with more landscaping tools. But yeah, I would highly recommend, if you're going to start a project like this and you don't have a metal lathe yet, don't get it. Get yourself a chainsaw or something. When will you start making houses out of plastic bricks? Yeah, as soon as possible. The kitchen building looks really makeshift, no straight walls, big gaps that are filled with concrete, missing bricks. Why renovating instead of rebuilding? I would say in general because we prefer to reuse the things. You could even take the whole building apart and recycle the bricks, but realistically it always demolishes it a bit more, it breaks the parts. So ideally we use things in their original condition, but I have no clue if it would make sense with the kitchen actually to do this. We're still looking into that right now. Can you make a playlist that starts at episode 1 so your journey can be watched in order? Yes, done that especially for you. How much price and how big is the land there? We actually made a video about that on our other channel. I would highly recommend to watch because it has all the details. And in general we have these two channels. This is more for weekly updates and the other one is more for the long-term documentation. What does it mean, prototyping a more sustainable way of living? Not sure, I guess that's why we call it a prototype. You often say sustainable, but what do you actually mean by that? Ecologically sustainable, economically sustainable, physically sustainable, all of the above, and in which case do you decide to balance them? Yeah, very good question. Complex as well. I don't have the answer, to be honest. But I do think that's what we mean with prototyping. So for instance, in today's world, we often really focus on the details of things. So for instance, let's say you could design a stove that is slightly more efficient, so everyone that cooks at home uses less energy. But sometimes it feels we might just have to rethink how we cook, because instead of everyone individually cooking, maybe it makes more sense if you share your meals So you don't need all this individual stove, you don't have all these individual waste streams, you don't have all the individual energy usage. But it's very hard to integrate in the usual world. And I think at Project Kamp we're starting a bit more from scratch, so we could really rethink how we live and how we set up our daily routines, because it affects the way you eat, the way you use your infrastructure, what you do in your free time. Like, I feel all these topics are connected and how to live sustainable. But yeah, very hard to integrate in an existing system. So here it feels like we can prototype and really tweak all these topics in a more holistic approach. But yeah, not sure how it's gonna go. What makes Project Kamp different than all the other projects out there? Yeah, probably that we have highway sounds. I didn't hear that before. No, but I do think this element of community. You have a lot of people going as a couple, living off grid. Kind of looks like we did that until now, I guess. But I think this really starts to get excited when the community kicks in and it becomes about sharing resources and infrastructure, which we would start doing more soon. When will Project Kamp get the band back together and or accept more volunteers? Yeah, so we're slowly approaching that as Basecamp is being set up. We're still not sure how to manage this because yeah, it also comes with some organization. But I would say soon. What's the maximum amount of people you're expecting to have on the land at one time? I think we had no clue when we came here, like even 10 hectares, like how many people could live there, what makes sense, that is not chaos all the time, but you still have enough private space. As we're here, we're starting to slowly see it more. I still don't have an exact number. I think it could host quite some people, maybe like max 50 or something, in order for it to still be nice. But yeah, it's still gonna take a while as well before we can host that many people. How do you keep yourself entertained? Are you lonely sometimes? What is your social life like? Good question. So yeah, personally I am pretty good in entertaining myself on my own. I always see 1,000 things I could do. Rita is a bit more a social being, so she really likes to have people around. So at this moment it's a bit more hard for her. But I would say yes, she knows more people are coming, which makes it okay. But in general, a lot to do, so it's not very easy to get bored. But I do think we need to figure out these things more, like what are our routines, how do we take off from this project, and what do we do in our free time. How are you feeling? Is living this way you expect it to be? Yeah, I guess. I don't know what my expectations were. It also feels like this is not really how we're gonna live. It's still very rough and raw now, so it feels very temporary, the things we're currently doing. But overall it's nice to spend more time in nature. The mental strain of what have I got into during the rain season looked like it sucked for a bit. How are you doing now, apart from the highway signs? How is the spirits? Yeah, I think they go up and down, especially because we're sort of analyzing this land, and sometimes we have these issues like the highway sounds or the rain that they affect us, but also everyone that's gonna go to Project Kamp sort of be affected by that. So they feel quite heavy, which brings the spirits down. But then other days we have good things. So I would say overall it's kind of intense, but yeah, I guess that's part of it. Do you want to make Project Kamp something like a modern farm, or rather something like a rural lab or workshop similar to Precious Plastic, or something entirely different? Do you have a concrete vision or are planning things as you go? Yeah, so we would love to have more of these topics on this land, but realistically integrating something like Precious Plastic here is quite challenging, because you first need to run your own basic life, having enough resources for yourself, but then also to run, for instance, 3-phase machines to do experimentations and stuff, and hosting the people and making sure they have a meal. It still feels like far away. So in the future it would be cool, but it might still take some time. Is there anything that you learned working on Precious Plastic that is really helping you with this project? Yeah, I think a lot actually during Precious Plastic version 4, where we brought a lot of people together to work on a shared mission. And that was really great. I mean, again, we made this video about it, so I would highly recommend to watch if you're interested. But we learned a lot of community lessons from that, and I think it also made it less scary to do this project, because you kind of feel like with the right people you get anything done. Is the fox real? So close. Yes, very real. They actually come almost every evening when we're in the town center. They're just walking by, having a look, playing with some things that we left there. Super nice. What's your plan dealing with all the invasive mimosas on your land? What about eucalyptus? You plan on keeping them? Any plans of repopulating the land with endemic trees? Yeah, very much on our radar to make sure we do something with it. We haven't really ourselves 3 experts. We're still looking for someone that is. But overall also plan for this winter to make more of a landscape plan on what to do with this whole terrain. So yeah, probably a lot of those have to go. Alright, so that was this video. It's actually super nice that you guys watch these videos and like them and are relate to the topic, because it's motivational for us, but also still just a lot to figure out, and we still need a lot of people helping and supporting the project, so we really benefit having this community around it. And as you noticed, still a lot of stuff is unclear. We don't have the answers to everything, that's why we're doing it, to try to figure out. And it started as a black hole where we dove into. Feels a bit like a grey hole now, so we're making progress. So yeah, thanks for watching, see you in the next video!
Motherfucking flies.
Do you like them?
Oh yeah, I love them so much. Can you hear how much I love them? You sing, as we're talking, gets in my ear.